Dude, you're literally the first one.
Cool.
Yeah. But like I said, we're figuring out what like the best way to go about doing these is. Uh-oh. Okay, can you still hear me?
I can hear you great.
Okay, cool. That was
Yep.
weird. It was getting the audio from YouTube. So I've got a screen. Can you see this? So
Ah,
I've got a
look
screen
at
there
that.
just in case people ask questions and stuff. I can be prepared. But it's like
Cool,
full
man.
legit, bro.
So those lights, the lights behind me aren't too bad, right? They look like they
No,
could be, but I can't tell.
no.
All right.
Who's in there right now?
Well, I'm in the other side, but everybody else is in the roastery side.
This
Jeff,
is the go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, Jeff had to go home for kid duty, but everybody else is
Hmm.
here.
Would you consider this a left-handed mug if it only has writing on one side?
Yeah, I guess when we've done mugs like that in the past, it's like, oh, if you're drinking right-handed, you can like remind yourself of where you got the mug, and that's always kind of fun. But yeah, you want to show it on the outside. You want people to see what you're drinking.
Right. Like I don't
So
think I wish that they were all I wish that they were all two-sided, but they sent us the wrong ones and we got them fixed, so that's good.
Dylan actually found some mugs that have two handles, so you can
What the
for the well, supposedly we were talking to a church, and they were saying that they get a lot of like older folks that sometimes have difficulty holding up a mug with one hand, and so they were like, I wish there were two-handed mugs that people could use, and Dylan found some. I
that's
don't think they're actually going to put them into practice, but
I mean that really is ridiculous.
yeah.
And I don't know if I've told this actually on the podcast before or not, but like when we went to New York, we went to a place called the Dead Rabbit. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm.
No, it's a pretty sweet bar. But they had these like all their drinks, I believe were in like weird drinking like apparatuses.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I had was like a teacup, but it had this mustache guard. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
this little thing that went through like the front of it and it would just like brush against your mustache
Oh,
so that it wouldn't get it wet.
okay.
I thought that was pretty slick.
Yeah, that's great. Probably in what, like Bushwick or something?
This was
High
in the like
prevalence of
in the
mustaches.
financial district
Oh,
area.
okay. Never
Yeah.
mind.
But yeah, man, everybody's going. I don't know how we're switching topics, but everybody's going digital. I did my first digital workout today.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like instructor led from the coaches at Naptown.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Pretty
was
good.
cool. Yeah, I had to like as everybody was warming up, I was like sweeping my garage.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there was like a
Like,
bunch of leaves that I hadn't cleaned up and I had to do like something where I was next to the wall.
that's a good core warm up.
I better, yeah, I was just waiting to get called out like Fabian, stop fucking sweeping.
Well, good for you for getting one in. I'm gonna try and do that this evening. Yeah, try and do some yoga digitally, virtually, whatever you want to call it.
Virtual
Yeah,
insanity.
that's what we're
I
living
had
in, man.
nice. I had a lot of people listening in yesterday. We were listening to some hip hop on my Instagram live.
Mm. Jay
So cool.
Electronica or what?
No, we were listening to the new Sirius Black. Keeping it
Okay,
local, dog.
okay,
100,
good for you.
100% local. All right, we have like 5 minutes before we officially start, but I've already been recording.
Bonus content.
Yeah, bonus. What are you listening to today?
Well, my search on Spotify was for peaceful. Um, and there's some like it's like peaceful indie something or other. Like uh it was like mostly instrumental or some instrumental, like some lyrical stuff, but just like chill. I was like I like piano music, just like something to tune out
Yeah, is your whole team still
frustrations.
there or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sydney's been working from home. Um, people have been working in different areas. Like where I'm at now, Dylan was working here yesterday. We've tried to kind of keep our distance as much as we can
Yeah.
from each other. But production went on as as normal today. I mean, we've had a lot of online orders that have to go out. We've got, places like the Garden Table that took a few days to kind of sort out online delivery and curbside stuff. They're now back in business. So people that need coffee and, are trying to do their best to stay as open as they can. We still got to get those orders fulfilled. So
Yeah, keep people caffeinated. I
mhm,
know that that's definitely a fear of mine, but thankfully, I'm part of this subscription plan.
mhm,
So as long as
mhm.
I don't burn through all that stuff too
Well,
quickly.
we got you covered. And I'll
Uh,
probably mention it again, but we were doing completely free shipping for the last week, and we're keeping that going, but for orders over 25, basically from now on until we, um, decide to turn it off. I guess
yeah.
just something to do. It's and most of the orders that have come in have been great. Unfortunately for a lot of businesses, free shipping is a pretty huge chunk of expenses. I mean, it costs us about $8 to ship a package anywhere. So when you're buying a $14 bag of coffee, that gets into losing money territory pretty quick. So we wanted to keep that, I guess, benefit going while still just covering our ass a little bit. And people are still doing it, so that's good.
We got Jeff on. He's on mute, but Jeff is on here as well. So I think he might help us moderate if there's questions that come in. I'm curious if anybody else is doing this right now, like locally.
Probably not. I mean, I haven't seen. It's a good idea. It's just a good way to keep informed. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day, like actually yesterday. So Jolene Ketzenberger found this really cool group in Chicago called Chicago Hospitality United that is doing like a t-shirt sale. Basically, really, it's actually a pretty great t-shirt. And all the net proceeds are going to uh, basically participating restaurants that are in this group. And she was
Yeah.
like, "Can somebody do this in Indy?" And I felt inspired and got in touch with a t-shirt company, Home Field Apparel in town, and I'm going to do it. But I was thinking, like, if I try to get the word out through Facebook or whatever social media channels, like who knows who's going to see it. You're
Right.
still kind of at the
Right.
mercy of an algorithm to determine who can actually see this thing. So the more opportunities we can get the word out, the more channels we can get on, the better to spread whatever message we can. So I think it's great you're doing stuff like this, man.
Thanks. Yeah, and it's interesting to see who is giving away stuff for free and who's like lifting restrictions on that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You would assume that somebody like Instagram, Facebook would lift some of those algorithmic restrictions to be able to get messages out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, who knows what it would take for that to actually happen? And I'm assuming it would be beneficial, but who
Yeah,
knows?
who knows? I mean, it's so tough because so much of it has been built to give you things that are most relevant to you and whatever that means. Um, but yeah, it's still you're at the mercy of an algorithm. So the best thing we can do is just ask people if they see something that looks like it's going to be doing good for a lot of people. Just share it. Just hit the share button. As easy as that is, just amplify it as best you can.
I agree. All right, man. I'm starting to feel good. This water's starting to kick in.
Oh yeah.
And I've also been doing some CBD, and that's been helping.
Good for you.
Do you mess yeah, thank you. Do you mess with CBD?
I do mess with CBD. We actually, I should bust it out. We for a long time have been working on some sort of like CBD, like a water soluble CBD solution to try and get it into cold brew in cans or kegs. And a lot of people have been very generous with CBD, water soluble CBD isolate. And I need to break into our stash
Yeah.
because yeah, I had been buying CBD oil from a company called Mineral out of Austin, Texas. I really like their product. It does get expensive. That's always a challenge, but yeah, I noticed some pretty great like joint benefits. Just feeling like knees were less sore in workouts than they were before. And yeah, just kind of that like nighttime,
Oh yeah,
sleepy time benefit.
that's definitely when I've been using it.
Hmm.
So it's 3 o'clock. In the best interest of making the best use of your time and staying on track with what we told people we were going to do, we're going to start these live YouTube shows, live YouTube podcasts that we'll be putting out kind of soon after we get done recording. So Steve, thank you for coming on. Go ahead and please introduce yourself for people that might not be familiar with who you are, what you do, what your business does, and we'll jump right in.
Sounds good, Fabian. Thanks for having me on, man.
Absolutely.
My name is Stephen Hall. I'm one of the co-founders of Tinker Coffee Company, and we are a coffee roaster here in Indianapolis. Doing our best to keep roasting coffee through all this.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that. And we were recording a little bit before this, and I think I told you I started thinking a lot about the mission of drink culture, which we changed early last year, which was to strengthen and inspire communities through storytelling. This seemed like the absolute perfect opportunity to step up and do exactly that. So we reached out, we put the bat signal out to different business owners. Um, civic leaders, political leaders here in town, just to say, hey, we want to give you guys a forum to just speak candidly, like truthfully, give people information that isn't just like stuff on the news, but things that they can do to help impact our community and keep people like you and Tinker and what you guys are doing afloat during this like really like unprecedented time. Like we don't know what the hell's going on,
Yeah.
right? So I kind of want to start just by saying again, thank you for being on. But I want to ask you how you personally and how your business are handling this situation right now. Obviously, people are being told to stay socially distant. Restaurants and bars have recently been ordered to like shut down for public use. So how are you guys handling all this?
Yeah, we're trying to handle it the best we can. Our approach, as we kind of talked about on Instagram yesterday, was just that our biggest, the reason we exist, the reason we ever started this company was to provide an awesome product for wholesale partners and for individual consumers, guests of ours here at the roastery. So we are essentially business as usual. I mean, certainly production has changed as cafes and restaurants have had to close or go to a different format, but it's our duty and obligation as a supplier to a lot of those places to stay open. So to be as safe as we can, we're doing some social distancing just for folks in the roastery. People don't have to be next to one another. Don't be next to one another. Using gloves throughout production. We got some really intense, like hospital style germ, like antimicrobial spray that we're just hitting on hard surfaces a couple times a day, and limiting contact for people that come in the roastery to buy a bag, just having them only grab the one bag they're buying, and having us employees go through all of the basically the square, the iPad, any kind
Right.
of point of sale stuff, just limiting contact through that way. So yeah, it's just trying to be as open as we can, and also as restrictive as we can, or as just smart and safe as we can. It's kind of the best way to put it.
Right. And was that something like when you guys decided to make that pivot, did that happen as soon as that announcement was made, or were you guys being proactive, like trying to get ahead of it and knowing like did the weight of it all occur to you before like a lot of those announcements were made on TV?
It started to really ramp up last week. We had a team meeting, and we were just saying like, hey, things are starting to get a little bit weird. Let's be super vigilant. Like no, just like, I mean, washing your hands constantly, gloves on. Anytime we're potentially in contact with a bag, or anytime you're in production, gloves on and gloves off when you're not, and wash your hands. So we kind of saw this ramp up, and then as we got into late last week and into the weekend, it was like, oh, okay, like yeah, things are getting real serious now. And that's when we started to implement the really just like the hyper vigilance on cleaning the space, because we run a pretty clean ship here to begin with, but you just don't know like what's on a surface. You just don't know what's on a surface anymore.
Right.
So we've had to just be super vigilant with that.
When and information is like so scattered out there in terms of like how long does it live on a surface? Like, where does it live? How does it get transmitted? I think there's still a lot of like uncertainty for the
Yeah.
most part there. So when you guys decide, okay, hey, we're gonna stay open, like we have to stay open. Like, how did those ideas come about? You know, trying to make decisions on what services or what parts of your business were still going to be open.
Yeah, I mean, again, as predominantly a supplier to cafes and restaurants and businesses and churches, we had to stay open. I guess I shouldn't say we had to, but we felt obligated to continue to be a partner in the way that we are now. You know, we need to continue to provide a product that people are expecting when they, you know, go to restaurants when they could, and then when they are picking up stuff, if they want a cup of coffee to go, if they're doing curbside or whatever, we have to provide that service to people, because the people that we do supply, that's where they make their money. You know, we can't all of a sudden just drop off the face of the earth and leave people in a lurch with a product that they rely on. So yeah, for us it was always like, look, we're gonna stay open until someone says we cannot, and to do that we're going to be absolutely as vigilant as we can with yeah, just keeping everything as clean as possible and as safe as possible.
Have you guys gotten any backlash for that?
I think a couple people that were kind of, you know, we get some people still don't understand that we're just a roastery. You
Right.
know, we put a post on social media yesterday talking about our approach to everything, and you know, someone was like, "Oh, you should really close." And it's like, well, you know, we're not a cafe, we're a roastery. Our business is carry out. You know, people come in, grab a bag off the shelf, and leave. That is what happens. You know, from a public standpoint in our roastery. Uh, but the vast majority of what we do is roast coffee and get it to cafes and restaurants and businesses and churches. Like that's what we do. So um, that hasn't, the people that understand that element of our business or that aspect of our business, I think understand. But I think when people don't really get exactly what we are or who we are,
Right.
sometimes there's some confusion on that, and that's the only backlash we've seen. It's just a misunderstanding.
And you guys are doing like, are you guys doing like personal delivery for people as well? So if like say somebody orders a bag of coffee, are you guys delivering that to people's homes right now?
We're still doing like normal e-commerce sales through the post office, so
Oh,
that's
gotcha.
continuing as normal. Yeah, and we're doing as much free shipping as we can right now. We've got free shipping over $25, so any order over 25 ships for free, and that's all 2-day USPS priority mail. So it should be there usually within a day for folks in the state of Indiana, and really 2 days elsewhere. But yeah, still using the mail for normal stuff like that.
Yeah. And have you guys had to get creative in other ways as well? Like obviously, I think hysteria sets in and people just like at times seem like they don't know how to react in certain situations. And maybe sometimes it feels best just to like stay put. But I think that there's a fine line between like getting creative and going over the edge of just like, damn, like that's almost in bad taste, right? Like,
Hmm.
have you guys had any struggles with trying to get creative and how to stay in business, essentially?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, one of the things that I've questioned or at least thought about a lot, and certainly with Jeff, is that you want to always be thinking of ways to offer a product and service to your customer, but you don't want to be seen as like, oh, we're doing this thing now because people are in a vulnerable state or people are
Right.
freaking out. Like you said, like we want to offer products and services that make sense for people without feeling like, without, yeah, we would never want to be like opportunistic on
Right.
a challenge like this. So yeah, it is a fine line. You know, even just offering that the free shipping discount, like it's never like, oh, we want people to think that we're all of a sudden doing all these great e-commerce deals because now that people are home, they need coffee at their house, whereas they were getting it at an office before. It's like, no, like we're trying to keep people employed. We're trying to keep the business running as best we can. And that's a good way to do it. Even if it means, you know, that we're kind of scraping by on margin, you know, it's still keeping the lights on. So that
Yeah,
helps.
absolutely. And um, I mean, I might ask you to get vulnerable, right? But like, are you scared right now for you guys have been around for how many years now? You started, was
five
it
years
2014? Yeah, so
Yeah.
6 years. I mean, when does fear creep in?
Yeah, it started. You might have seen the press conference with Mayor Hogsett and Michael, it's Huber, right? Michael Huber
Yeah.
from the Indie Chamber.
Yep.
Yeah, they had a good pod or a good press conferences talking about a lot of the resources that are available through the chamber and elsewhere. And Joe got a question at the end of it, just like, are you scared that we're going to see just a bunch of shuttered shops in the next 6 months or whatever? And he was like, yeah, I am. And I think that's part of the thing that worries me too is I think a lot of people will get through this and a lot of people won't. And it's that ripple effect, like the 6 months, 8 months from now effect. And certainly the impact on personal finances, that's a huge concern. I mean, not from a business standpoint, from an actual person to person standpoint. Like
Right.
a lot of people are relying on hospitality jobs, and if those all of a sudden dry up and there's no money, and now all of a sudden you can't pay your mortgage or you're struggling to get by with groceries, like that's a scary place. So as much as I want to be optimistic on the future, it's scary that there are so many unknowns with how things are going to go. So yeah, I worry. I don't want to get, I don't want to be rose-colored glasses and think everything's going to be fine. I don't know what the future holds, but it does scare me a lot.
Yeah, I think a lot of people that probably resonates with a lot of people. So when things like this happen, tragedy might be too strong of a word to use at this moment, but like when things like this happen, you're often asked to like step up to the plate and do stuff. And I think that efficiencies that may have been blind spots before, right? Like things that you can be doing better, like part of your business. Do you think that like through all of this, there's things that you see that like you can change the way that you run your business
Mm-hmm.
for the better? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. I don't know if I've really had the distance apart from it to think about how we can change the business as a result of this. I think for us, just being as flexible as possible has been one thing that we've really tried to do. And by that, I mean flexible to our partners, our wholesale partners. So, people have, a good example is, let's just take Rabble Coffee, for example.
Yeah.
I got a message on, I think it was Sunday or Saturday last week, just like, hey, Josie's out of coffee and she's to go only, and she needs someone to run coffee out there. And it's like, yeah, let's get coffee out there so Josie can continue to generate revenue for her business. And being as flexible as we can when people are in a pinch, or if people need something fixed or anything like that. Just that kind of on-call nature to the business is that has been pretty eye-opening. And for us, it all comes down to service, being the best partner we can, being the most hospitable partner we can, being reminded of how important that is. That has definitely been crystallized for us. But yeah.
Well, and it magnifies like empathy, right? Like it takes these transactional things that were just like, yes, that's an account that I take coffee to like, that's another human like person trying to run a business that relies on the things that we do so that they can stay alive, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's that. I mean, empathy is a really good way to put it. All of a sudden, it is very easy to be reminded of just everyone's humanity. We're all just scrapping by, trying to do our best, trying to keep businesses afloat, trying to keep the lights on at our house or wherever. And going through something like this definitely reminds you of just how connected we all are.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what is something that the community can do to help you guys during this time? Like obviously, if they have coffee, you have coffee to sell them, right? But are there other things that the community like at large can be doing to help not just like your business but other businesses as well?
Yeah, I think a lot of our success is the success of the restaurant, the food and beverage industry in general. We do supply a lot of cafes and restaurants in town, and keep supporting them, keep buying coffee out when you can. That'll help. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we're going to be working through a fundraising effort to try and generate some cash for people in the hospitality industry, taking a page out of a book from the Chicago Hospitality United group that I mentioned. We're going to be doing some fundraising efforts there, trying to organize and just get cash in people's hands that are really kind of most affected by this and most vulnerable to this. So I think the more people can try and live a somewhat normal life, the better. Coffee is a big part of people's daily routine, and we're here for you as much as we can be. We'll keep sending coffee out to online orders, and we'll keep getting coffee to cafes and restaurants that need it. So just as normal as people can be, that'll be helpful.
Do you have any advice, or have you learned anything? I know it hasn't been a long time, right? Like if we start to look at this as the start of it was essentially like Monday, right? Is there anything that you've learned in this short amount of time that you can share with anybody else that's been helpful for you guys, just to kind of continue plugging along?
I mean, I guess this certainly changes my perspective on uncertainty, I guess. I don't want to, I wouldn't want to live my like business life in fear that the next coronavirus is always a year away. Like I don't want to think like, oh, well, we shouldn't expand in that way, or we shouldn't do this, or we shouldn't do that, because you don't know, when something might come crashing down. Like I don't want to live that way, but I certainly think that like being as mindful as we can that these things can just pop up without warning and all of a sudden throw things in or for a loop, that gives me I think just some perspective on I guess like I don't want to say like just holding money, keeping money
Right.
available so that we can say to our employees like, we can pay you for 4 months, after now.
Right.
If revenue goes to zero, we've got enough money stowed away that we're going to continue to pay you. But I think just that yeah,
It's like
less.
calculated risk, right? Like when the times are really good, like just know in the back of your head maybe that like, hey, it's not always going to be this good.
Yeah,
Before
it's
cash
like
flow gets hit.
having an emergency fund in your personal finances. Like
Right.
instead of saving for 3 months, maybe you're like, let's get 6 months of
Right.
expenses
Right.
covered. It's like maybe let's just feel comfortable with this amount of money reserved for an emergency or for something that goes wrong. Whereas before we were pretty conservative. Now let's be a little bit more. Let's just save a little bit more. Instead of saving 25 cents, let's save 30 cents on every dollar or whatever. So I think that has been a good lesson for me as a younger entrepreneur, an entrepreneur that hasn't seen a lot of I've in the last 5 years things have been generally pretty good. So
Right.
we haven't seen a real downturn until really this. So yeah, that's my number one lesson, I think.
Awesome. And that all said, like, what are you doing right now to like keep your head on straight, to keep calm? I know earlier we were talking about, I think you said you put on like a classical music station or maybe something like that. What are you doing to keep it all together?
Uh, yeah, gosh. I wish I had a really great thing to say. I mean, last night my wife and I busted out this game called Otrio. I don't know if you've played it. It's like a
Is that
kind
a
of like a
Spanish word?
it's a I think it's a made up word. It's like it's like a tic tac.
Orello.
Yeah, it's like a tic tac toe type game. And I made a couple pizzas. We had some wine, we had some beer, and we played this game just to like try and get our minds off it a little bit. I mean, we played a few games and then we ended up talking about our businesses and just trying to reassure one another and talking through challenges. So I think just it's like you mentioned, just having that empathy um and listening to what people are saying and having a just an open heart to people and what they're going through. I think that that's a good reminder for me. um, Keeping up with my yoga practice will be really important for me. That's a big part of my life. And it's kind of shocking to not be able to do, not to be able to go to this place that was such an important part of my life to this point, and having to do things at home and self-directed is a bit of a change. But it's funny. I got a notification on my phone like 2 days ago. They're like, "Hey, your Calm subscription's about to it's about to re-up," and I was like, Thank God. Like I'm gonna need
If
that.
ever there was a time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just meditation's important. At least for me, I find some some just comfort in getting into a good mental space through things like that. So that's helpful for me too.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's something that I've recently like come into like has been a big part of my life is just taking control over the things that I can 100% control and like navigating through that, right? And like letting go of the stuff that's just like these are external things that literally no matter what I do, I cannot change. But
Yep,
like the things that I can and I have control over, like let's make sure we get that together, right?
for
And
sure,
like focus on some of that stuff.
for sure.
Ostensibly, everybody has a little bit more time on their hands. Have you been watching anything? Have you been binging a show, caught up on any old movies that you're just like, man, I haven't seen that in a long time, or any shows like that?
Yeah, man. So over the weekend I watched Parasite. I also watched.
Good, bad, good, bad.
I loved it.
Yeah.
It was not the ending that I necessarily anticipated, but I want to live in that house so bad. It is like, you've seen it, I assume, or no?
No,
No,
no, no, no.
okay.
We almost watched it over the weekend.
Oh man, I have a feeling that you will like the architecture
Ooh,
in that movie. But yeah, that was great. I've also found that, like, I was talking to Dylan about this. Like, of course, it's in subtitles, and the way my brain works, like if I listen to a song, I won't I won't comprehend the lyrics. I have to read the liner notes to like actually see what the song is about. I have to
yeah,
read it. And so I feel like seeing the subtitles and having to read through a movie actually helped me like absorb the dialogue better. So now I might just
interesting.
like turn on subtitles like for every movie so I can read along as I'm watching. But anyway, yeah, great movie. I liked it a lot. Uh, I watched Uncut Gems on
Was it?
Saturday.
Oh man, yeah, that's another one. Was that is that heavy or is that
Now's
actually
not the
just so
time.
funny?
Now's not the time to watch
That's not
Uncut
the time.
Gems.
Okay, okay. I'm glad I asked.
Dude, I did not realize how much anxiety inducing that movie is. It is like yeah, it is you will definitely have an increased level of anxiety watching that
Wow.
movie.
So would you say
Um
Adam Sandler got snubbed? Like, did he do a great job?
uh
No nominations?
yeah, yeah, he did a good job. He did a good job.
Okay, we're gonna stick on Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
Uncut Gems or damn it, now I'm blanking on the movie. What was it? Oh, Punch Drunk Love.
I haven't seen Punch Drunk Love.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
seen that one.
So it's part of the Criterion collection, I believe. So if you have time, obviously,
Uh,
like go back if you can find that movie. I really liked it.
okay.
Punch Drunk Love, but that was like one of his first like really serious roles.
Yeah, he he does a great job in this one. He plays it's a very interesting character. You just get so frustrated with him, uh, but he's convincing in the role. But yeah, I mean, acting wise, I think he did a really good job with it. So,
Awesome.
Contra Glove, I'll go back and check it out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's great. Okay. So one of the things that we also want to be able to do, since people are essentially having to self quarantine in a way, right? The social distancing, don't be outside with crowds. Obviously, that means you can't go to a cafe and enjoy your favorite beverage or your favorite latte. We want to give people some takeaways for stuff that they can do at home. With things that they can easily order from like Amazon or maybe some utensils that they might already have, right?
Hmm.
If they were even a little bit of a coffee connoisseur, just some tools that they might have. So I think you said you might have some of that stuff for some value to provide to our listeners.
Yeah, let me go see if I can track down Alec.
All right,
I'm gonna talk and walk. You guys will get a little tour of the roastery space here.
dude, I'm
Hey,
getting a total
you
Rob
want to do
Dyrdek
it?
vibe from you right now.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
like
just.
Fantasy Factory.
Well, this is it. Yeah. Alex on the phone right now. You can see him, but he's going to be doing an Aeropress demo.
putting
So
in putting in that
in,
work.
in the meantime, yeah, I can get things. I can get things set up here.
Cool. Yeah. So what is it? What is an Aeropress?
Aeropress is a cool little brewing device that kind of works like um, a French press. Kind of works like a espresso machine. It's it's basically a chamber where you put ground coffee and water in, and you let that immerse. It's a full immersion brew style. And then there's also a plunger, and you kind of push water down through coffee grounds and through a filter as well. So it's a
Do you have
single
it?
cup.
Do you have it there? Can you show?
Yeah, I think Alec is
Oh, gotcha.
getting
He's
one
messing with
together,
it.
but we'll find one. I know there's
And these are
several
just like
around here.
regular coffee grounds,
Hey,
right?
Kelly. Yeah.
It doesn't need to be run through like the little espresso.
No, yeah, just
Bob.
regular coffee grounds. There's got to be one around here. I think Alec's getting it together.
And I've seen them, right? So it's like the black cylinder.
Mm-hmm.
One
Yeah.
goes into the
Here, I'll
other.
tell you what. This is what they look like. So it's it's like a little 2-part chamber. Alec, is there an AeroPress over here?
There's an AeroPress.
Okay.
I spy a drink culture poster
Oh, yeah, we have it
Over.
prominently displayed.
over in the corner. There. Is that a sign? Is that a sign joint by Mr. Joey
It
Fox?
is a signed joint. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'll take this piece too. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so now we're going back into the rest. Oh yeah, can you make it in here? Okay. So let's see if I can get a good layout here.
Dude, I'm just amazed. I think about the first time that we recorded a podcast with you at the old place,
Uh-huh.
and how you could walk across that entire thing in maybe like 30 steps, and you've been going from like gigantic room to gigantic room.
It's a big open space. Probably looks bigger than it is, but all right. So here
Man, it took everything. It took everything. For me
right.
not to say anything.
So this is the brew chamber that I was talking about. This is where
Yes.
you actually put the coffee in,
Okay.
you stir it up, and then there's the one piece that's missing is there's a little like basket on the bottom here that you attach with a filter inside, and then you put this on top of a cup. So basically just sits like that, and then you've got this plunger piece here that has a rubber stopper on the bottom, and when you're brewing, you actually attach this on top and push down with a pretty good amount of pressure, and that again forces the water down through the coffee and into your cup. So you can do kind of two main brew methods. One method is actually kind of cool. It's called the inverted method, which starts with the plunger in the actual chamber itself like that, kind of upside down.
Yeah.
You put coffee in, you put water in, you stir it, you let it steep, and then you put your cup on top, flip it over, and then plunge down. And that makes a little bit more concentrated cup. You generally need to add some water to that cup afterwards to kind of open it up, almost like Americano style. Because
And how much coffee or espresso are we actually making with one of those?
you're making a full cup,
So what's
10 ounces or so.
10 ounces? Okay.
Yeah. So you use about 15 to 20 grams generally in most recipes on this. Really, the way that the brew method varies is on your steep times, or how long you're actually letting the coffee interact with the water in here, your grind, how much water you're adding at the end there, and certainly what method of brew you're using. But it's a really cool device. I mean, it's really easy to clean. That's one thing that I love about it. So when you're done, you take the basket off the bottom, and you're left with like a puck like you'd see in an espresso machine, and you just push this plunger all the way down, and it pops the puck out into, if you compost, it's great in compost. If you just put it in the trash, that's okay too. But then once you're done, you're left with just like these pieces, plastic pieces. Well, this was done by like a Stanford physicist that made this.
Astronauts.
Yeah.
Well, AeroPress. You know what I mean.
Well, the guy that made this, actually, do you know the aerobie frisbees, the ones that are just like a circle, like with no middle, just like a ring, and they go like 200 yards?
Yeah.
The guy that invented that made this. So there's Alec. So Alec, I think like right here is good. I might narrate, unless you can pick him up on the mic too, but
have him say something.
Can you want to talk to normal length or normal, so we can see if you're on the mic?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay.
We can hear you.
He says he can hear you.
Cool. Do you have a little black piece?
No. So Alex is going to go get the basket. That's the one piece we're missing here.
And can you give an intro for who Alec is?
Sure. Alec is our kind of community and events director, I'll call him. Alec runs Tinker Gemini, which is our catering wing. So you might have seen Alec around town with his handy dandy espresso cart. But yeah, Alec runs everything to do with Tinker Gemini. So he is he's a man about town with the espresso cart.
Man About Town. That is a great record from Mr. Mayor Hawthorne. Do you listen to Mayor Hawthorne?
I've listened to him a couple times. Yeah.
Man, I was hoping that you were gonna say no. It's like, ooh, I just put you
Ooh,
onto something good.
Get on it. No, I like him.
That Kikagaku Moyo. Am I saying that right? Kikagaku Moyo. That band that you sent over from Japan is nuts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, I can't take any credit for discovering that. It's one of those things where it's like it pops on your Discover Weekly and you're like, ooh. Yeah, now I get to share with everybody else and feel like a real cool guy.
And this AeroPress, how much is that? Is that like $20, $15?
Yeah, these are about like $30 on Amazon. So
okay.
We always have them in stock here, but you can get them on Amazon too. They're pretty affordable for what you're getting out of it for a basically indestructible brewer. So all right, so Alex got everything he needs here. He's got a scale, which is important but not required. One thing that's cool about the AeroPress, if you just will give me 1 second here. So it might show up on the camera, maybe not, but you see those numbers on there. So you can use those numbers as a guide too if you don't have a scale.
Oh, that's awesome.
But in general, it's always better to brew with a scale, help keep you on track. So you want to tell us about your recipe, Alec?
Yeah, so this recipe is based off of the, I think, 2019 World Championship recipe. So with AeroPress, they do these competitions and they do a World AeroPress comp. And the woman who won, I think she was from Denmark. And this is loosely based off of her recipe. So we're using our newer Brazilian coffee. And what's unique about this recipe, I'm going to go ahead and get it going while the water's hot.
So he's wetting down his filter there first and foremost. So he's just getting the filter to adhere to the basket and making sure that it doesn't move around when he's brewing the rest of the coffee. So now he's got a little bit of water in the chamber there. He's kind of preheating the AeroPress, discarding the preheat.
So yeah, I got this coffee ground about as coarse as you would do. I do the exact same that I've been doing our pour over, our Kalita pour over.
How many grams?
30 grams of coffee.
30 grams, so a fair amount of coffee.
So what's unique about this recipe is that it brews a concentrate and then we dilute it down. So to start, I'm going to put 100 grams of water. That's 197 degrees into the chamber.
You guys can't see, but he nailed 100 grams on the nose. That was really great.
Before he keeps talking, for people at home that have like a stove or a teapot, like how do you ensure that you're getting like 100 grams of water? Like, is that like 4 ounces, or like a couple teaspoons? Like obviously it's more than that, but
100 grams of water. I got to do the conversion on that. So he's now plunging the coffee. So you did what, 45 seconds?
40 seconds.
40 seconds. And now he's plunging you can see the plunger moving down, it's forcing the water down through the coffee. Basically that's kind of what happens in the inside of an espresso machine.
So this is double the amount of coffee to water as you would do in like a pour over. But what we're going to do now that it's all plunged out. So if you tasted this now, it would taste like strong and bitter and like really dense. So the last thing we're going to do is add 90 grams of hot water.
That looks good.
right.
Got it. Yeah. So he's basically just opening up the coffee, got a good concentrate, and now it'll be much more appropriately strong.
That's it.
And you've got a perfect cup ready to go. Look at that.
Tom?
Look at that.
It's like a minute and a half, 2 minutes max.
Fast coffee. Not as fast as espresso, but pretty fast.
And then you could like, so I use a frother at home with almond milk.
Yeah.
To make like lattes. So you would like pour that in over the top.
You could, yeah. So he was saying he uses a frother to make lattes. I mean, this is going to be more of like a brewed coffee strength, but you certainly could, you could actually do it without the dilution that he did.
Like the
pretty
concentrate?
much, yeah. You could pretty much get, a reasonable like espresso style drink out of this. They also make some attachments for the AeroPress. One's called a Prismo that it kind of works like the ketchup bottles that have like a squeeze, like it like a clean squeeze mouth. Yeah. They have some that attach to the AeroPress on the bottom and kind of restrict the flow of water through that and creates a more like shot of espresso style.
Interesting. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you guys for showing us that. Hopefully some people will get interested in brewing a little bit more of their own coffee at home now that we have to spend a little bit more time here. Steve, I want to give you an opportunity before we hop off. Again, you mentioned free shipping on orders over $25. Is there anything else that I know a lot of people are saying buy gift cards if you can, and that's obviously a little bit more for like food and bev. But for you guys, what can the community do to continue to support you guys and make sure that regardless of when we make it out of this whole thing, that we still have Tinker Coffee around to drink and be in our favorite establishments?
Yeah, just online is always great. I think again, we have the luxury of our success being the success of others, or others' success kind of flowing through to us. So going to coffee shops that you support now, restaurants that you support now that have our coffee on the shelves, like that helps both those shops and us. So you can kind of get a double benefit if you buy retail bags of coffee either through us or through another shop. That certainly helps while people are stuck at home. So that's all good.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for coming on to talk to us a little bit about the situation at hand, how you guys are dealing with it, and what people can be doing to help you guys out.
You bet, man. Thanks for having me on, Fabian.
All right, dude. Take care, man. Be safe.
Thanks. You too. We'll see ya.